were there for maybe 2 or 3 seasons. We were at Wormley. And then when I was 16, I went to Tottenham.
Okay.
And I joined at 16, but it was a completely different setup. So I was like the youngest player by probably 10 years. It was a ladies' team. But at that time, there was no girls Tottenham. There was nothing to do with Tottenham there. So, I got straight in and I trained, and then I signed like the next training session and played there for a season. And then from there, I went on to QPR. I got scouted to go to QPR from there. Did a couple of seasons there, and then I went to a semi-professional team called Langford. I don't think they're around anymore, but I joined them when I was going to university, and they were in Bedfordshire and I was in university in Greenwich, so the distance, it just didn't work. So I kind of parked football. I played for my uni team, and then I was just at uni. And then when I came back from uni 3 years later, I was at Enfield. And then from Enfield, I was going to hang up my boots, actually. I was at Enfield for about 3 seasons. And I went off to America for the summer, and as far as I was concerned, that was the last I would probably play football. I kind of lost the love for it, I think. And then I got a call from a friend who was at Enfield, but they were going over to Tottenham. And they were like, oh, come down, like it's a new setup, like Karen's in charge. It's completely different to how it has been. Because Tottenham at the time were below Enfield in the leagues. They were quite a few leagues down. And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm hanging up the boots. Anyway, I came back, went down, and then I'd signed for them the next week, and I've been there ever since. So I'm glad I didn't hang up the boots.
I mean,
close shape.
Well, yeah, no, but that's how it works out, isn't it? You know, it's like life is really about, I think, opportunities and being in the right place at the right time and stuff. So I mean,
I'm glad I did. I mean, the minute I went back down, I just fell back in love with football again. So hence why I was still there 12 seasons.
So was that just because of how Karen, like the setup that Karen had, or just because it, like, was it partly that, or was it just, it was an opportunity again because you were a Spurs fan, but it was an opportunity to represent Tottenham? What was it that gave you that passion back?
Yeah, a mixture of things. I think one, it being Tottenham obviously helped, being a Spurs fan, and two, went down and it was just a complete different setup to what I knew before. So I think in my head I was thinking, oh no, it's going to be the same. But it was completely different. There was so many girls there training. They had a physio and another coach, which at the time, 12 years ago, wasn't very common in women's football. It was usually just a coach and 10 players. But they had the first team, the reserve team, and a third team, I think they had down there. So it was really, the standard was better, so much better. And I just really enjoyed it. And I was playing with my friends. And at that time, it was just a hobby for me. And it was great. It was down the road. And I was enjoying football. So, yeah, it was an easy decision I knew once I got there and I played just a training match that, it was the team for me going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously my interest in women's football and getting you on is that, like, personally, I'm involved in women's football myself. So
yeah,
it's about trying to to raise the profile from my perspective. And we, as a pod, we don't want to be just the normal, typical blokey pod that says, right, well, we're Spurs, so we're going to talk about Spurs and we're going to talk about the matches and we're going to moan about this and we're going to moan about that. So we're trying to, try and be a little bit more,
positive.
broad and positive, I guess. And I recognise some of those experiences, where you talk about in terms of one man sort of band. We, like my club, we've got now. Well, I think we're going to probably have 2 teams this year, but there was a point where we were a 3-team club, and I thought at that point we were really going to get the opportunity to really expand and grow. But opportunities for with girls, as you say, sometimes they'll be there, and sometimes they'll just seem to lose that interest, and then trying to get more players to come in to replace those ones that have that seem to fall by the wayside. Is is really difficult. So yeah, no, so it's interesting. So when you went back to Spurs, obviously, as you say, that the setup was different, but I presume when you were there the first time, were they in the Greater Women's Football League, that type of?
Yeah, I think it was the Greater London League.
Okay.
Yeah, Greater London Women's League, I think.
Yeah, and then when you went back, what standard?
I think they were maybe one above that.
Okay.
Or maybe still in. No, I think they might have been one above it.
Okay, and then, like, obviously at that point, I mean, your Spurs really, it's Tottenham. The men's team are, a top division side, and if you look at some of the other London clubs that had like women's associations as well, they were doing quite well. So there came a point, I think, where as a club, the aim, I guess, was to rise up the ranks and to really, put our name on the map. So was how did that process evolve from a manager's perspective and from the players? Did Karen manage to get all the players to buy in, and how did she sell that dream to everyone?
I think the first season was obviously about building a new team together, because it was pretty much all the girls that were there. I think there was only a handful that had been there previously to Karen coming in. And it took a few years to build, to get like the staff in, to get the coaches in. But once them foundations were there, there was no real turning back for the club. We started to, probably I'd say over the last 7 years, we've always been on the upward. Like, we've never just sat still. We've never been happy with just settling. We've always progressed. So like an example would be us getting promotion into Double Cell 2. So there's teams that have been in that league ever since it's existed, whereas we were in it. We established ourselves the first season. Within the second season, we'd gained promotion. So I think we started to create a lot of interest probably 7 seasons ago, when we started to climb the pyramid and we started to win things, and the quality of players coming in we were getting some real quality players in. And I think the coaching staff recruited very well over the years to get girls in that did buy into it and did value and respect the beliefs and values of the club. And I think there have been players who we've lost along the way that might not necessarily have bought into it, and they haven't really lasted that long in the team. But over the years, we've had some great players, and it has been a real family environment there. But yeah, obviously everything takes time, and as you can see, 12 years now we're in the WSL, the top league. So it's been a very long journey. It's taken a lot of people, a lot of volunteers, a lot of players that have come and gone throughout the seasons. But without any of them, we wouldn't be where we are today. It's been a big effort from a lot of people. It's not just happened overnight. It has been a project, and it's been planned. And I think we actually arrived at it earlier than we were meant to, because I remember when we last December, when we realised we could actually get promotion, it was us and Man United at the time. We weren't due to, in the plans, we weren't meant to get to that stage until the end of this season. So we were a year ahead of ourselves, and I think that's just credit to everyone involved. And once we started to win, it became kind of addictive, and we just wanted to push on, and everyone started to believe in it, and it's amazing what you can achieve if you're all working together and you do start to believe in yourself. And I think the rise of Spurs Women is a true example of that.
So, Sian, anything you want to add? Anything you want to ask at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, you talk about the family atmosphere and nature, and that comes across well to the fans, and we see that with Karen and Juan and the whole team. But as the captain of the team, I think you played a big role in that as well. So as the captain, how did you instill those kind of values?
I don't really know. Like, I know that I had the respect of the players, and I respected everyone as well. And I think as the captain, I knew that my actions would reflect. You couldn't ask someone to meet standards if I wasn't meeting them myself. And I've always been proud to be captain, and it's something I've never taken lightly. And I've always been open and approachable, and I think the girls know that from the minute they arrive. Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously I've been there for so long as well, so I know the core values, and I know, and I'm passionate about the club, and I know what we've come from. So I think that's why I was so successful, possibly because I knew the struggle from the start, and how much hard work it has taken from people, even just volunteering. And I've seen it, and I've seen the tears and the blood, sweat and tears, and been at pre-season every for the last 12 years, and there was even times when we were close to getting relegated. So I've been there and like fought through it, and I think it's all well and good being a captain when things are going well, but also the downsides. I've always been there and been there for everyone, and we've pulled each other through. So I think maybe that's why.
Well, it certainly comes across from the messages that the players sent and things, just how important you've been in doing that and being approachable for everybody. And I think it's great to see, that there is that core strength together. And I think it is why the team have done so well so far. And, hopefully it will continue because you've built that. Yeah.
There's such a good group of girls there, honestly. I mean, you meet them all the time, but they honestly are a really good group of people, and they're not top class players, but they are really great people, and I think that's why it works. And that again is what Karen and Juan they demand that from their players, and I think when they recruit so well, and they just bring great people in. It's great people to be around.
Yeah, I have to say that, I've only been following for a couple of seasons, but watching the recruitment has been really interesting because it does always seem to work really well, and they do always seem to bring in, that first season that I was really watching lots, Ash Neville came in and Sarah came in, and they both, brought great things to the team and were really integral to how well the side did that season.
Yeah, they do. They really do. They do take their time. They know exactly the players that they want, and it like you say, it shows each season. It seems to work. What they're doing is working, and hopefully now we'll kick on in the WSL starting September. Like this year, the aim was to establish ourselves, but I think we more than done that. And if anything, we were disappointed to finish where we did, because I think we could have picked up some points that we did lose. So again, that shows the kind of group of players we are, that we were disappointed with the final position.
Well, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed for that recruitment news this summer, because we haven't had any yet.
I'm sure it will come soon.
We've lost 5 or 6 players, and we haven't had recruitment. And as if everybody else is announcing all these signings, it gets a bit nervous. But I'm sure Karen and Juan have it under control.
They're just keeping you hanging.
That's how Spurs do it, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Karen and Juan, how does that dynamic work? Because there's not many teams that have 2 managers. How does that dynamic work, and how does that help the team? Yeah,
well, we always joke like they're an old married couple at times when they go for each other, but no, it's always worked. It's always been, well, Karen obviously was there for a while on her own, and then Juan come in, and it was kind of like the final piece of the jigsaw, really. And they work well. They're different. Their styles are different. They've got different strengths, but it works, and it works, and they're, if something's working, there's no need to fix it. But so no, they don't get me wrong, they do have their moments together, but they're like work wife and husband. But no, they do a great job, and they complement each other well.
Well, I guess if they didn't have their moments, there wouldn't be the passion there, would there?
Well, exactly. You can't take that away.
Yeah.
So, Jenna, you sort of said that, from a team perspective, you consolidated in the division this year. You got promoted. I think all the players went professional. I think, was that right at the beginning of the season? Signed professional contracts, and that, for you, having been on that journey, that must have been a really proud moment, I guess. So the teams obviously aims, I think, were to establish themselves in that